We have a lot to cover this video, so welcome back to the channel, everyone. You're back with me, AP, and this is my channel, Epic Pools Midlands TGC. So today we're going through an awful lot about what's happening on the TGC market. So we've got some more 30th Pokemon 30th cards that have been appearing in hand on streams. Honestly, the set looks better every time that I see it. Looks absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to see more of it as it unfolds. We also have Dragon Ball Fusion World, a story boost, so the hype is getting ridiculous for this set, but allocations that are popping up everywhere could be a serious problem for anyone who's looking to obviously get a hold of the set, because yeah, it's not looking pretty as well. And also OP17, it looks like it's going to have the exact same issue, allocations, which seems to be what we're hearing. There's issues with them so far, and while Bandai products they are becoming more and more popular, they're becoming harder to secure and harder to get. Pokemon is going in almost the opposite direction. They seem to be printing more and more of these the sort of smaller sets. You know, you've got your Perfect Tour Day, KS Rising, and also you get some reprints also as well of Destined Rivals, which will be hitting the market. So prices will continue to cool down hopefully, and we will be able to get some more product also as well. And then we've also got some One Piece promos that absolutely exploded right out of the gate, but of course have been crash landing down as things have cooled down. The FOMO has started to settle, and people are now starting to see the realistic prices of what these promos are going to be. So there's plenty to get through. Let's get through it all, starting off with the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. So let's go. We now see some cards that have been properly revealed appearing in hand, including Meowth and the Alolan version of Meowth also as well. These are not just promo images anymore, these are some official in-hand pictures, some of the cards also as well, and rip and strip streams have been appearing here and there, which have been opening product, so meaning that we get to see a much better, you know, in-hand view of these cards and what they really look like once you are going to be pulling them on release day and beyond. And I have to say, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I knew the set was going to be amazing anyway. I knew the artwork was already lined up to be an absolutely stellar lineup, but yeah, this is looking even better than I expected. And yeah, I love Meowth. Meowth cards have been hitting their stride lately, and these two Meowth cards do look great. And we've also seen them Pikachu cards, the Pikachu EX cards, you know, the day and night ones, the Pikachu promos, which, you know, they're going to be featuring their own little 30th anniversary stamp also as well. So lots of artwork coming out of these anniversary products so far, which looks amazing. The whole thing has that celebratory feel to it, you know. I expect major things from Pokemon anniversary as always, and it's going to continue to grow the closer we get to release date. The hype, the anticipation, and everything that goes along with it. I'm actually quite happy about it, and we're seeing so far suggest that there may be a healthy amount of this product entering the market. I mean, the Pokemon Center drops seem to have lasted a lot longer. People seem to have got what they necessarily wanted also as well, whether it was a booster box, a booster bundle, or some blisters. Yeah, this 30th anniversary set, I don't want it to be something where normal collectors get one opportunity at retail and everything just disappears. I really hope, you know, Pokemon prints enough to demand, and we won't be having to fight off people when we're going to your local LGS or local drop just to try and open some product, or fighting off or trying to negotiate in the secondary market. You know, I prefer if they print it and reprint it, let people open it, and yeah, just enjoy their rips. And if you want to keep it sealed, it's entirely up to you. But yeah, I'm very much a rip everything and see what I can pull. Obviously the demand's going to be enormous. It's the Pokemon 30th anniversary, so hopefully the supply is strong enough that we can actually find this stuff out in the wild. But fingers crossed. I hope you can, I hope I can, I hope everyone can. So yeah, moving on to the next point, we have got the Dragon Ball Fusion World Story Booster. Now, Dragon Ball Fusion World has been growing in popularity, another Bandai product. It's been absolutely seeing ridiculous numbers, and this story booster has just hyped the whole Dragon Ball Super Fusion World product even more. The hype is real. The hype is definitely real. So just after seeing some of these cards, I can completely understand why. You know, you've got beautiful artwork which is based off the Buu saga within the original anime also as well. And you know, you got Vegito in there, you got Vegeta, you've got the Son Goku cards and some of them as well, mainly Super Saiyan 3. But yeah, they're going to look incredible. Some of the rarities and the treatments and the seams pulled straight from the anime as well look absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see these cards in hand if I manage to actually get some, because the artwork in these cards, the artwork in this set, it's mind-blowing. So from what I see, it looks like it's going to be lining up to be very, very good. So these cards look genuinely premium, and like I've been seeing in previous sets, you know, specifically FB09 also as well, you know, their print quality has been amazing. But unfortunately, there is another side to this story. I'm seeing reports where stores and even people in the community are suggesting that allocation has been heavily cut, unfortunately, with these, because the demand is just so strong. Some stores apparently aren't receiving anything remotely close to what they originally ordered, which is a shame, with some reports even claim allocations are as low as around 1% of what that store necessarily is requested, you know, in quantity. So that's, yeah, it's not looking good in terms of allocations. So this seems to be happening, you know, widely across the board. But I've just got to ask one question: Bandai, why just print to demand? Like, it feels like the same problem we're seeing like with One Piece and obviously other Bandai products, which Naruto's due to come off, which I imagine is going to have the same issue. Demand massively outweighs initial supply. Stock slowly just gets, well, it doesn't slowly, it gets swallowed immediately, and suddenly collectors are being asked to pay like huge secondary market premium just to open a product. And even if they do, you have to ask yourself, if you do pay them prices, are you even going to open it? Is it even worth it? Because like I said, depending on what you pull, you could make it a very painful experience or fantastic. If you love it just for the excitement, definitely do it. But yeah, scarcity can create excitement, but there's a point where scarcity just becomes frustrating, and the storybook story looks like it's going to be headed in that direction, which is a shame. And I hope that they do some reprints in different ways for it. Yeah, but like I said, it's Bandai. Seems that we're facing the same problem. But talking about Bandai Namco, let's move on to OP17, because that's going to be the same problem across the board as well. So unfortunately, OP17 seems to be an even bigger example where the demand is absolutely insane. As more and more announcements have been coming out for it, pre-release events are now absolutely packed. They do midnight launches where you can only secure booster packs, not booster boxes, and people are trying to secure booster boxes already. But once again, I'm hearing stores that their allocation that they're receiving is going to be considerably lower what they wanted. And like I said, they would either keep it for the regulars, they would obviously open them and just sell the packs to you. You know, it makes me slightly nervous about the release, because I don't really know what to expect. Usually with One Piece, you can go to a Bandai store and then you can potentially get a booster box, or your LGS may get a few booster boxes. But we've got a massive set with massive hype behind it, so potentially there's not going to be nowhere near enough product to satisfy the demand. You know, queues are going to be absolutely crazy. If we're going to be seeing people literally camping outside the Bandai store of LGSs just to get their hands on it, you know, it's normally a recipe for one thing. Secondary market prices for this set is going to be absolutely crazy, whether it's the booster boxes, illustration boxes, the double booster packs. Yeah, you've got to have a trusted local game store that's going to give you opportunity to hopefully buy a booster box around retail. That's probably going to be your best option, truthfully, because as we're seeing the new sort of norm with Bandai not meeting demand, yeah, it's a bit difficult. And the Bandai stores, like I said, they're imposing a very strict purchase limit around the release, so can't go in and release weekend assuming you're going to walk out with multiple boxes. You're going to be walking out with 6 packs. So hopefully Bandai follows up with some additional waves, like I said previously before, and some reprints, so you know we can hopefully get an opportunity to actually open some product, because we've seen them do it before. I think they've done a slight reprint for EB03 and also OP13, but we'll just have to see. Initial release window, it could be rough, just a heads up. So but talking about reprints, that brings us perfectly to reprints, because while Bandai is potentially dealing with too little supply, Pokemon has been showing us exactly what happens when more supply enters the market. And by what I mean by more supply, I'm talking about Destined Rivals. So Destined Rivals is a perfect example, and we have obviously had a few prismatic reprints also as well, but let's look at the booster box first. So in terms of the booster box, we're going to be seeing them hitting stores. You know, in the UK they're going to be hitting the Entertainer, they're hitting Smiths, some of the big box stores, and maybe some of the smaller stores also as well. And you know what, the booster box had an extremely strong start. You know, looking at 3 months market data, the booster box reached the peak of roughly, so the boxes reached the peak of roughly £352.50, which is approximately £469. But since then, we've seen a significant cool down. The current market price is sitting around £298.86, which is approximately $398. So that's roughly a 50% decline from peak. Due to obviously the reprints, which is good. You know, if we're not going to see it drastically go down to near enough to what I retailed at, but yeah, it will be hopefully a sensible drop where you can actually see the effects of the reprints happening, and then yeah, you'll be able to pick something up. There are obviously some spikes here and there during May and June, but as we move through July into August, overall direction is slowly going down. So personally, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. You know, they're not gonna be you know, dramatically cheaper, but they are cheaper overall, so we are getting more supply, and it gives you another chance to obviously secure it, add it to your collection and open it. But regardless, we are getting reprints. So the initial FOMO is cooling down. You know, people aren't going to have to go to the secondary market, not unless obviously the supply gets swallowed up again, but hopefully retailers have started to combat the sort of scalping element to it, because Destined Rivals is popular. But yeah, well, it's under £300 now at the moment, so if it goes in lower, fantastic. But yeah, continue to obviously watch it and then grab it if you want to. So if you actually want to open it, go for it. Moving on to the Destined Rivals Elite Trainer box. So the Elite Trainer box, it has it's been hit even harder, obviously, because there's going to be more supply for the ETBs. So it reached around £152.45, which is around $204 at its peak, and now we're sitting at approximately £118.70, which is around $158. So that's more than a 20% decline from its peak, due to obviously the reprints. And unlike some of the short-term dips we've seen with obviously the other Pokemon products, the 3 month, the sort of 3 month chart which I've got on the screen here shows a clear downward trend. what the price has obviously been affected due to obviously reprint. So from around 150 pounds through to 140 pounds, you know, £10 difference down to 130 pounds, you know, it's slowly dropping, and now we're approaching the 120 pound mark. So yeah, now could be a very good time to grab it. Again, reprints and additional supply necessarily are doing exactly what we expected to do, which is pushing these prices down because there's more product in the market. So hopefully this takes some of the pressure out of the market, so you know, you'll be able to obviously think smartly about what necessarily you want to grab, what necessarily you want to open, and hopefully, you know, could Destined Rivals fall even further? Will we potentially seeing it sitting on the shelves? Probably not, but yeah, it could fall even further, make it even more affordable. But absolutely, especially if Pokemon keeps supplying the market, you know, we've still got a very long print run of this, so it hasn't quite even hit the middle of its print run, especially if Pokemon keeps supplying the market. So, and obviously for collectors, you know, if you want to obviously keep it sealed, you know, you don't mind paying the higher price points for it because you're not going to open it, you're just going to obviously keep it to stare at or add to your collection, throw it away for 25 years, whatever you do, you know, it's up to you. Prices, they come down, they increase depending on, you know, demand and also supply. So right now they are going to be cooling down, which is a great thing. Next, we want to talk about what's happening with the One Piece promos after the FOMO has settled also as well, which is something else that I've also been watching, you know, because I love collecting promo cards. They are definitely a chase for me, and these One Piece promos, because they are fantastic examples of why I keep saying be careful of buying immediately when a card hits the market, because you could be paying a substantial amount more than what the card initially will be worth later on down the line. But it's just, you know that, I know that it's common sense, and loads of people drum it on. So let's look at the Monkey D. Luffy P159, which the card is roughly £19 at an early peak, which after initial excitement, the price has started to cool down. The recent market average now is sitting at around the £12 to £13 mark for it. You know, it's a beautiful card, and obviously we've got the foil card coming out towards the end of the year, but the normal card, I think they're printed like 500,000, which is a pretty substantial correction in terms of price, and where people were buying it initially during the initial hype set, and obviously you've still got the foil counterpart, which is coming out also as well. But yeah, there's loads of cards in demand for this, and I imagine there's going to be loads sent over for grading, probably sitting waiting to be graded at the moment. But then we've got another Luffy promo. This one's even more dramatic. So the card absolutely exploded when it entered the market, and the price at one point, prices are reaching $520. That's roughly around £400, and this is the round one Monkey D. Luffy promotion. And now the prices, we're looking at around $209, which is approximately £160, and this is just for obviously the Luffy. I'm just covering the Luffy one for the sake of time, but a roughly 60% decline from peak from this card, 60%. So as you can see, FOMO kind of got everyone. If you bought it when you first into the market, hopefully you make it back if you're grading it or you're collecting the set or anything like that. You know, you don't have to worry about it if money's not a thing to you, but it's to me, because I don't want to spend too much on something necessarily where I can get it cheaper. Exactly why I hate chasing cards immediately after release, because they're so expensive, and until you see the dust settle, doesn't mean that like necessarily a card's bad. It just, you got to make sure that like the dust settles before you necessarily jump in and purchase it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have long-term potential, isn't there? It's just the initial entrance to the market. It simply means that when supply is extremely low and everyone wants the same card at the same time, you know, prices can become completely detached from where the market eventually is going to settle. So that's just, like I said, that's just my hot take on it. I won't say it's hot take, it's just a take, but more copies will appear, more sellers start listing, you know, more cards start coming back from grading, and FOMO disappears. You know, happened with the the red monkey D leaf is still a chase, but still that there's loads that were sent upgrading. The McDonald's Pikachu, but yeah, at suddenly £400 card now sitting at close to £160, you know, that's the truth of it. But yeah, I think all these stories actually connect, you know, with the 30th anniversary. Hopefully we're looking at enough supply for us as collectors to generally enjoy the product also as well. So hopefully Pokemon continue to print. You know, with Dragon Ball Story Booster and One Piece OP17, you know, potentially we've got the opposite problem there, where we've just got enormous demand for them products, and you've got such restricted allocations where it's going to be potentially extremely difficult, you know, just to open a product, unfortunately. But hopefully things will improve, or Bandai will, you know, give their head a shake and then correct what they need to with reprints. And the Destined Rival showing us what necessarily happens once, you know, supply and reprints does finally reach the market. You know, prices cool down, FOMO necessarily disappears, and we see a little bit more of a correction and some more sensible pricing, you know, take hold. And finally collectors can get another opportunity to, you know, actually buy some products, you know, rip things that they necessarily want to and pull the cards that they want to as well, if you haven't already brought the singles. But then those One Piece promos also as well, exactly why paying, you know, right at peak when the, you know, the initial scarcity can be dangerous. You know, it can be dangerous to your wallet also as well. So just allow probably time to cool down. I know some people want to get stuff and send it off for grading to be, you know, the first initial certificate or the first pop one. Yeah, just going into these next few releases, just don't panic buy. Set yourself a price that you feel comfortable with paying, and just, you know, being overall, you know, clear-headed when you're going into it. Support your local claim stores where you can, of course, because, you know, they're the bread and butter of the community, you know, and they bring us all together for giving us what we want and what we need. But if you obviously miss the first one, remember sometimes it's best to purchase, you know, where you can, the best purchase that you can make is the one you don't make during the release week FOMO. So yeah, sometimes it's just don't get dragged into it, just be vigilant, purchase sensibly. Sometimes waiting is the better option. But let me know down below what you're most excited about. You know, you've got the 30th anniversary, you got Dragon Ball Story Booster also as well, we've got OP17 also as well, all releasing this month and next month. And as always, if you enjoy the TGC news, market updates and collecting content, drop a like, subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, and I hope your pulls are epic and continue to hit as much as you possibly can. See you on the next video. Peace.